Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so you all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday. So if you are new here, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button. We've got a bit of a different setup today, so hopefully it all runs smoothly. Hopefully you can all hear okay, it looks okay. Let me know what you think of the new kind of setup of the stream. We've had a bit of a change around here. Somebody says, a PG says Monday morning rave time. The music at the start, let me know what you think. I don't know if it's too ravey for a Monday morning, but let me know your opinions on everything that's around me right now and see how today's stream goes. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, Chris Crypto, good morning PG, good morning Rob. Hope you all had a lovely weekend. Let's take a look at what's been going on here. So let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin first of all. Bitcoin is currently trading at $52,345, up another 0.8%. I mean, in the last week, we're up over 9%. Really nice price movements here. And Ethereum has started to play catch up now, with it being up 3.6% within the last 24 hours at $2,915, up over 17% within the last week. So let's check out the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. Let's take a look at this right now. It has started to see a bounce on the daily chart. You can see that clearly here. We are starting to see Ethereum outperform Bitcoin. And I think this is a trend that could continue, but we'll have to keep an eye on that over the next couple of weeks and see how this plays out. This is a chart that I'm closely analyzing right now though. Let's take a look at Bitcoin to see what's going on there, because as we all know, it's having a really nice move to the upside, and we are currently trading at almost $52,300. In fact, we are at a level of resistance that was used in the previous bull market. So let's take a look at this. I'm on light mode here. Let me know what you think of the light mode as well. I think I might be a light mode person now, a light mode girl. Call me crazy. Let's take a look at this. Let's put some lines on and find some levels of resistance. I think we can clearly see this level here has been used as, we need to put all the, do you know what? Maybe being light mode isn't for me after all. Why is the line white? Let's put it to black and let's make it a bit clearer so we can see that. So you can see this has been used as a level of resistance multiple times from back here, from here, and you can see it was used twice here as well. So that's at the $50,455 level. Right now we are above that, but I would say we have a whole zone to be watching out for here. The $53,000 level was used as a level of support here and resistance here, support here, support here. So this is definitely a level to be watching out for as well. And a couple of points within these two lines have been used. So I'm keeping a close eye on this zone as a whole. It has been used as a resistance historically. If we go to the closer timeframes, you can see we have so far had a confirmation bounce of that lower level. So that can give us a little bit of confidence. But if this week we see a daily candle close above the $53,000 level and we get a confirmation bounce there as well, I mean, we can't help to feel bullish at that point. What's happening right now is we have a couple of months until the Bitcoin halving. In fact, we have 58 days. Now, until we get to that Bitcoin halving, typically we do not see a new all-time high, but anything is possible right now. The Bitcoin ETFs are fueling the markets right now. If we take a look at what's happening here, the Bitcoin halving is expected to be mid-April right now. Right now, we are seeing a dramatic move to the upside. Bitcoin can continue on this rally and continue to have that upwards momentum that we've seen many times before in previous bull markets, but it's typical we don't see this kind of price action until the Bitcoin halving. So this is kind of unusual for Bitcoin right now, so we definitely need to be playing on the safe side of caution here and watching out what's happening, just waiting to see what's going to break first, the level of support and resistance. And once we get those confirmation bounces, that's when we can make some decisions. We are in upwards momentum now. Now, I don't want to get caught out here because we have seen this bullish momentum continue for a long period of time historically. We do sometimes see 20 to 30% pullbacks in a bull market, but right now Bitcoin is on an absolute tear to the upside and we don't know when it's going to stop. So to best analyze this, we just need to be staying up to date with the charts, seeing when levels of support are going to break, And if they break, we can then reevaluate and reanalyze. But I'm not going to sit here on these streams and say Bitcoin is only going to go up from here. And equally, I'm not going to say it's time for a pullback, because Bitcoin is in that point of the markets where anything is possible. And we just need to be looking to see what breaks first, the level of support or the level of resistance. And when we see that, we can better predict what is going to happen next. But right now, this turn to the upside is brilliant. We all have all obviously taken advantage of this. So it's brilliant to see this point. Hopefully we do continue to the upside, but we can't make any certain predictions until we see a level of support or resistance break. So we're going to keep an eye on that, but please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button and tune in every single day so you don't miss out on those updates. It's very important at this point in the markets. Let's take a look at what's going on in the chat here. Jason Smith says, good evening from Australia. Rob says, don't forget to smash the like button. Jason says, really like the new format with the stream. Light mode when viewing the charts works in well with this new setup. Yeah, I agree. I think the dark mode makes it all too dark. So I'm trying to brighten it up a little bit. Let me know what you think though. Thank you very much. I've just been working on this morning because I thought it looked a little bit dull at times. So hopefully this brightens it all up and makes it a bit more fancy. Let's take a look at what else is going on though. So we're looking at the Bitcoin price right now. It is on a tear to the upside. We need to look at the news and see why we are seeing so much bullish momentum still. We all know now the Bitcoin ETFs are fueling this market massively, but we will get onto that later in today's stream. The first thing I want to talk about is two reasons Bitcoin could challenge a record high of $69,000 before the halving. Now, as I've just said, typically Bitcoin does not create a new all-time high until post-halving. In fact, couple of months after the halving. So why are we rallying now? How are we rallying so fast at this point in time? And will we see a Bitcoin all-time high pre-halving? Now that is perfectly possible, and what we are seeing now is a huge amount of bullishness coming from the Bitcoin ETF. Let's see what's going on here. The theory that Bitcoin, the leading cryptocurrency by market value, bottoms out 12 to 16 months ahead of halving and chokes out uptrends ahead of and the year after the halving is well known by now. So we have these 4-year cycles, which we can pull up here. Let's go to the weekly chart. So the 4-year cycles are showing, let's change the color. Can we change the colors of these? No, we can't. So you can see the yellow lines here. These are the Bitcoin halvings. In fact, let's go to BTC USD. Let's pull this up. So you can see all of these yellow lines here that you can't see very clearly because we're in dark mode. I've said dark mode, but we'll go on to dark mode for now. What you can see here is typically we have a bottom, 12 months of upwards momentum, halving, and then we moon. And then we have the bear market, then 12 months of upwards momentum, halving, and then we moon. And that's that's been the same theory that's been playing out multiple times. Now what we've got is we've had that bearish period, we've had that bullish momentum, we've got the Bitcoin halving in April 2024, but we're saying, look, we're edging closer and closer to that all-time high. Now, one thing I would actually really like to take a look at and notice here is the distance between our all-time high and our pre-halving prices historically. So we do have a lot of bullish momentum right now, but if we take a look at the second halving, for example, prior to this halving, the all-time high that we had was $1,170. Now, the price that we saw pre-halving was 34% below that. If we do the same again for the third halving, so we look at the all-time high and then we go to the pre-halving high, you can see that was 30% below the all-time high. Now, if we do the same here, you can see that if we go to all-time high and we pull down 30%, we are looking at around $48,150. So this would have been kind of the typical pre-halving price to see. And this is why I've always said around $50,000 in April 2024 would make sense, because that's when the halving is. So we are higher than that. We have already sort of broken that trend, typically broken that trend, not by a significant amount. So I'm not saying, look, the trend is necessarily broken. I think if we were to see a cool off period now or a little bearish momentum now, this would perfectly well fit in with that trend there. So I'm not looking at the data and going, that trend is broken, we are definitely going to see an all-time high by April. We're just looking at the data right now and saying the possibility is there. If we take a look at what's happening, we're seeing the monthly RSI points north, so a momentum indicator that measures the speed. and change of price movements over a set period, usually 14 days. Readings above 70 indicate a strong upwards momentum in prices. A week ago, Bitcoin's RSI crossed above 80 for the first time. So a reference Bitcoin traded. Essentially, the RSI on the monthly chart is showing bullish right now, and we are having that pre-halving bullishness. We are seeing an analyst saying the closer we reach the Bitcoin halving, the higher the probability that Bitcoin will rally, as the evidence from the last 3 cycles shows. This time will be no different, as the perception within the crypto community is high that the halving is bullish. This perception is undoubtedly flowing into the TradeFi community, which is aggressively buying these Bitcoin ETFs ahead of the halving. So yeah, Bitcoin halvings do typically trigger a bull market. One thing to highlight here that's not mentioned in this article is the actual weeks surrounding the Bitcoin halving typically isn't that bullish. So we just need to be aware of that in the long term, yep, super bullish. The Bitcoin inflation rate is halved, but in the short term, typically we do see a little bit of bearish momentum around the halving. So just be prepared for that. Let's take a look at what's going on in the chat. GB says, glad I loaded up through all those bearish months. Me too. It feels good, doesn't it? It feels good to be on the right side of this. I mean, buying Bitcoin and buying any cryptocurrency when Bitcoin was down below $20,000 felt like we were being stupid. I was telling people, look, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin right now is a brilliant opportunity. Everyone was looking at me like I was ill. Everyone was like, what are you doing? It doesn't exist anymore. And now it's back. It's back above $52,000 and we all look like geniuses again. It's brilliant to see. And it will be even nicer to see when we do get up to those all-time high levels. I think we will see something in the near future. If this bull market continues, we could be seeing super high prices and maybe even 6 figures, which is absolutely insane. Like, imagine buying Bitcoin above $100,000. What is going on? What is going on in the space? It is a madness right now. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the news here, though. So Bitcoin steady over $52,000 and traders are targeting $55,000 in the short term. So Ether will likely capture more hype and mindshare in the coming months as the potential ETF listing. One analyst is saying, but Bitcoin is looking positive. So they're saying, look, Bitcoin's looking great. Ethereum could even look better. And now we have just taken a look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. But let's take a look at this again. We are seeing some sort of bounce on the daily chart here, seeing some conversion and Ethereum starting to outperform Bitcoin for the first time in a couple of weeks now. What we were seeing is since the Bitcoin ETFs got launched around the 10th of January. Following the 13th of January, we have seen Bitcoin massively outperform Bitcoin. Bitcoin outperform Ethereum until around Monday last week, where we have started to see a little bit of a reversal there. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Rob says, me too. I got into crypto 2021 when Bitcoin had already beaten previous all-time high. Feel like I'm a year earlier in this cycle. It's so much better when you've been through a cycle. It's so much clearer what's happening. I think a lot of people. So this is nothing against, if you're new to cryptocurrency, well done for getting into this part of the cycle. But if you get in at the kind of the top of a bull market, it's so hard to understand the 4-year cycles and the potential that's left in the market and the risks involved in the markets. I remember when I first got into cryptocurrency and everyone used to say to me, you need to experience one cycle before you actually make any considerable profits. Like, that's just how it's going to work. You're probably going to lose everything and you need to start from scratch. And I didn't believe that. I was like, no, I'm doing so much research. I'm spending so much time in the industry. I'll be able to break that trend. I'll be able to just grasp everything that's going on first time. It'll be absolutely fine. And then lo and behold, I went through my first cycle, made a few mistakes at the top of the bull market, lost my portfolio essentially, and then had to start from scratch and learned throughout the bear market how to be doing. And by the time the bear market hit, I'd kind of learned the lessons that I needed to learn to understand how to better manage my portfolio. And being able to watch the cycle right from down at $16,000 is a game changer. It's been such a better experience because we've been here since $16,000. We've been accumulating, and now we know that when the price goes up, you don't have as much of a big fear of feeling of FOMO. You're not as emotional in the markets when you've been through your first cycle because you can see how they work. If you've managed to take advantage of the bear market, then any move to the upside is an advantage that we can see and be grateful for. However, if you are in the space now and you've only got in within the last couple of months, then hats off to you, because getting into the space at this part of the cycle from scratch, it takes a lot of guts, because you're not getting in because everyone's talking about it and there's new all-time highs. You're getting in before it really takes off this time around. So getting in the space now and going full throttle at it is also really impressive, because often it takes people kind of hearing constantly about cryptocurrency and hearing constantly about all-time highs and the gains that can be made. It takes that kind of talk to get people into the markets, and by then it's usually too late. It's the top of the cycle. When people are telling you this is the next Bitcoin, this is the next Ethereum, this is going to go 100x, and all the low cap altcoins are shooting to the moon constantly, that's a top signal. But that's typically the reason that people get into the space. So if people are getting into the space now as a new investor, then brilliant. This is a brilliant time to get in as well. Let's take a look at what's going on here. JB says, totally agree, Jess. I found crypto Jan 2018 was a tough first cycle. First cycles are always hard, but we can educate you if you are new to the space here as well. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. We do these live streams every single weekday. We have done since Bitcoin was down at $16,000, and we will continue to do so for the foreseeable future until Bitcoin hits 100k, and after that as well. Let's see what's going on here. Rob says, shows a lot of people will join the space when we hit 100k. I really do believe so. I think we'll see a huge amount of retail investors entering the space within the next year. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the cryptocurrency news today, though, because we do have quite a lot of news to discuss today. It's been quite a volatile weekend, I'd say. Let's take a look at this. So retail investors are easing back into crypto while VC funding rises for first time in 1.5 years. So sorry, I just choked. Essentially, a lot of VC investors got burnt in the 2022 chaos. In 2022, we saw a lot of companies file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and VC investors obviously got burnt off the back of that. So they've been a little bit cautious since then. However, they are making their way back into the space, looking to invest once again, and we are seeing VC funding rise for the first time in over a year. So let's take a look at this. Bitcoin's prices climbed nearly 70% in the fourth quarter of 2023, and the crypto market has been rebounding, marking the re-entry of small retail investors. However, retail investors who lost billions of dollars in 2022 market crash are moving in more slowly and cautiously this time compared to the bull market in 2021, according to a Bloomberg report. So VC funding in crypto and blockchain startup also recorded a 2.5% increase in Q4 last year after constantly declining for 6 quarters, according to the PitchBook report. I mean, we're looking at all this data, we're looking at all of this, and you can just clearly see something's heating up. Crypto's heating up. People are once again interested in the industry. If this continues, it could be a really nice bull market, with retail traders looking to get in again and institutional investors looking to get in again. There's money flowing towards the space, and all that can do is increase the prices higher. So really nice to see this kind of news at this point in the cycle. It can just give us some extra confidence. We are seeing big banks want a piece of the Bitcoin pie as well. So US banks are lining up to obtain Bitcoin services here. According to a report, US banks are pushing the SEC to open up the regulatory framework to be more inclusive towards banks when it comes to Bitcoin. So the banks are actually wanting the ability to play a bigger role in the evolving Bitcoin frenzy when this is occurring in the US, such as acting as a custodian. So a report stated on Wednesday last week said that the banks organizations are putting forward their case to the regulator, and the police stated that the commission recently approved 11 spot ETPs, allowing investors access to the asset class through a regulated product. However, notably absent from these approved products are banking organizations serving as the asset custodian, a role they regularly play for most other ETPs. So right now, for the majority of the Bitcoin ETFs, Coinbase is actually the custodian, and being the custodian just means that they actually hold the underlying Bitcoin for the ETF products. But the banks are saying, hold on, we need to be involved in this somehow. We want to be able to be the custodian for these ETFs. We want to be the people buying the Bitcoin and storing the Bitcoin, not Coinbase, this public company. We want the banks to be in charge of this. So they've been making this play to the SEC. We are now waiting to see the response from Gary Gensler. They've put this all in a letter. We'll see how this plays out. You can see the letter on the Crypto Saving Expert website. I will drop the link to this in the chat right now. Let's see how the chat is looking on the stream, actually, so we can actually see the live chat in today's stream. I quite like that. It looks quite good. Anyway, carrying on, back to the article. Regarding the plea from banks, Bitwise Chief Investment Officer said they didn't take long. If you were wondering if Bitcoin ETFs were going to change the tone around crypto regulation in Washington, here's your answer. Bitcoin ETFs are beginning to hoover up significantly more coins than the network produces. So we are seeing the bank saying, look, we need to get involved in this. We don't want to be left behind after all. So interesting how this is all playing out. I mean, this is kind of how we could have expected it at this point. The SEC had no choice but to accept Bitcoin ETFs, and now the banks are going, wait, actually, we do want some Bitcoin after all. Let's take a look at what else is going on here in the news, because big news here, and this can massively impact the price of Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin is trading at, let's pull this up, BTC USDT, $52,322, and we are seeing the increased demand of spot Bitcoin ETFs. So we are seeing the ETFs actually buying 10 times more Bitcoin than the miner production. So if on a standard day, Bitcoin actually has its supply increased by about 1,060 Bitcoin. So every day, 1,060 Bitcoin is added into circulation by miners. So essentially every single time a Bitcoin block is added to the blockchain and transactions are confirmed, we are releasing 6.25 Bitcoin into circulation. That happens every 10 minutes, which means we are seeing around 1,060 Bitcoin added into circulation every single day. Now, with that, we are seeing the Bitcoin ETF companies buying up this Bitcoin, and they're not only buying up 1,060 Bitcoin, but they're actually buying around 10,280 Bitcoin per day, around 10 times the amount that is being added into circulation. So with that, we could see a huge shock to the price if this supply and demand fluctuation continues. So what we're seeing here is demand is increasing for Bitcoin. We are seeing the demand increase at a faster rate than the supply increase. In fact, tenfold the amount that the supply is increasing. What this means is eventually, if this continues, if this trend continues, we are going to see the amount of available Bitcoin to purchase decrease. And when the supply is extremely low and the demand is extremely high, there's only one way the price will go, and that is to the upside. So there's a huge amount of potential here and opportunity here for a supply shock if these trends continue. And for me, there's no reason as to why it would slow down at this point. We're seeing increased investor interest from institutional investors and retail investors, and as the demand increases and as the supply starts to decline, we are just going to see the price go higher and higher and higher. And this could really be the catalyst. I mean, last bull market, we've had like the ICO bull market. This is definitely the ETF bull market. ETFs can be what has caused the 2024 boom in crypto. I think this is what we'll be naming after, the ETF pump. So what we're seeing here is the momentum is continuing. We've seen articles like this before, but on Thursday we saw the second largest inflow day ever for BitB, and we are continuing to see like these high inflows. We're not just seeing this because the ETFs have just gone live. We're continuing to see the ETFs outperform themselves. The second largest inflow day for BitB was only on Thursday. These ETFs have been live for over a month. This demand isn't just the first wave for people entering their positions. This demand has been continuous and seems to continue to grow. So hopefully that trend continues, and we will still see that positivity. JB says those figures are crazy. It is absolutely insane what is happening in cryptocurrency right now, but we've been calling it here on the channel. These Bitcoin ETFs are a game changer for cryptocurrency. They leave a huge amount of opportunity for those in the space, and we will all be so incredibly grateful that we got here before the big banks, before the biggest asset manager in the world, before these ETFs. We were in Bitcoin buying these assets. There's a huge amount of opportunity now, and I think we are really going to be patting ourselves on the back in 10 years time. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Somebody said on Twitter, Wall Street loves Bitcoin, commenting on the increasing demand for the asset. He said the march to a new all-time high is underway if this continues. I mean, if this demand continues, what's stopping it? What's stopping us from reaching a new all-time high? Let's continue on with the next article here and see what is going on. This is a little bit more of a bearish one, but I want to be discussing this today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We do these live streams every single weekday, and I would appreciate if you tune in every single weekday and educate yourself about the cryptocurrency markets, because we're not going to have this opportunity forever, and I think there is a big opportunity in the space right now. What we've got here is 20% of Bitcoin miners could go offline following the Bitcoin halving. So, as I was just saying, essentially, every time a Bitcoin block is added onto the Bitcoin blockchain, 6.25 Bitcoin is added into circulation because it is rewarded to the miners. Now, these mining companies essentially are just companies that buy a massive warehouse, buy huge amounts of computer hardware, and just runs the computers essentially. So the outgoing cost for Bitcoin miners is the rent for the warehouse, the electricity costs to run the hardware, and they have to buy a huge amount of fans to keep their warehouse cool so the computers don't overheat. Now, this can get really expensive because these mining computers are very, very complex and they require a huge amount of energy. So Bitcoin miners outweigh that outflow cost by the income they make in Bitcoin. They make 6.25 Bitcoin per block, and a block is mined every 10 minutes. Now, these mining companies have a huge opportunity to make plenty of Bitcoin every single day because of the size of their mining rigs and the amount of mining rigs they have. But what's going to happen in April is the Bitcoin block reward is going to halve from 6.25 to 3.125. So when they add a block onto the blockchain, they're no longer getting 6.25 Bitcoin, they're getting 3.125 Bitcoin. And what does that mean? I mean, essentially in one day, their income is going to halve when their outgoings is staying the same. So how are they going to manage that? Well, typically we do see a bull market post-halving, so it's not usually a concern. And typically we do see concerns and articles like this about the future of mining companies because of the halving. But if we take a look at this, we can see that there's basically what we've seen in previous articles is every mining company has a price point for Bitcoin, which if Bitcoin falls below it, they are no longer profitable, because you can calculate how the price that Bitcoin needs to be for you to earn a specific amount, the average amount of Bitcoin that you currently earn, to hit your outflows and your costs. So essentially, there was two major Bitcoin mining companies that will be able to survive if Bitcoin goes below $40,000 post-halving, and the rest need Bitcoin to be considerably higher. Now, if you need Bitcoin, if let's say you're making 100 Bitcoin per day and your outflows are 50,000 Bitcoin. No, let's try this again. Let's say you're making 100 Bitcoin per day and you're out 100 Bitcoin. I mean, that's a bit extreme. This example is not going well for me, is it? Let's read through this article and I'm sure it'll give us a prediction ourselves. So, Galaxy mining analysts have revealed that by the end of 2023, 8 asset miner models were responsible for over 70% of the Bitcoin hash rates. That's the amount of electricity that's getting pushed into Bitcoin, essentially, kind of how much the computers are working. 20% to power down, the analyst stated, considering the sensitivity of break-evens for various ASIC models to Bitcoin price and transaction fees, we estimate that 15 to 20% of the network hash rate stemming from these ASIC models could be affected. So essentially, these companies need Bitcoin to rise considerably in order to still have an effective business model where the amount of income outweighs the amount of outgoings. So we do see concerns like this, again, as I've said, pre-halving pretty often. I don't think it's a problem at all. I mean, if massive mining companies no longer survive, yes, it's unfortunate for them, but all that's going to happen is we're going to see a more decentralized Bitcoin. If a massive mining company, as it states here, 8 ASIC miner models were responsible for 70% of the Bitcoin hash rate. That's not the exact figure I was looking for. There's a list of the top mining companies, and they actually are responsible for a huge amount of the Bitcoin hash rates. They are responsible for mining the majority of Bitcoin. Only a small percentage of Bitcoin that is being mined every single day is from smaller mining companies. And if we see one of those larger mining companies shut down operation, what would happen is the difficulty to mine Bitcoin would decrease because the competitiveness would decrease, and it would give those smaller mining companies a chance to mine more Bitcoin, and it would just spread out the mining power a little bit more and become a little bit more decentralized, because being decentralized is a subjective term. It's not decentralized decentralized or centralized. There's a meter, essentially. There's a spectrum. And if the big mining companies say, do you know what, we need to dial down our mining, that gives others an opportunity because the competitive comes down. The competitiveness comes down. So it would just become a more decentralized network for a short period of time. I'm sure once the price of Bitcoin increased again, a lot of these would just start up their computers again, but they might just power off for a short period of time. We have seen some mining companies, however, within the last couple of weeks, dial it up because they're saying, look, Bitcoin, we can now earn 6.25 Bitcoin per block, and in 2 months' time we'll only be earning 3.125. So let's turn them all up. Let's go full steam. Let's power ahead and let's get as much Bitcoin as possible here, so we can make as much income as possible. We have seen the Bitcoin difficulty increase to an all-time high, I believe. Oh, it's expected to reach an all-time high. I'm not sure if it actually did. Just last week. So we're seeing the amount of energy being pushed into Bitcoin increase massively there, ahead of this Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin halving, where we will see the inflation rate split in half. Let's see what's going on in the live chat here. Rob says British HODL talks about the asset managers needing the first month's ETF reports results to sell their clients the ETF. So in some sense, the ETFs haven't even begun. As we see the ETFs being positive, I mean, that data will spread and bring a lot more people into the space. JB said, already feel like I don't have enough Bitcoin. These ETFs gobbling up the Bitcoin supply. It makes me feel even worse. Bruce says, hi chat. Rob says, ETF performance loop creating unprecedented FOMO. JB, I feel the exact same. I always feel like I don't have enough Bitcoin. Like, why didn't I buy more? I couldn't buy more. I bought as much as I could. We just need to be grateful that we were in this cycle throughout the bearish times, and we took advantage of it when we could. And we can't do any more than we've done. We've educated ourselves. We've bought Bitcoin. Hopefully, we see these returns. And we're always going to feel like we want more at the end of the day. It's just a feeling that we've got to accept and try and sleep with. Let's see what's going on in the next article here. What we've got here is the Xcad founder is responding to KSI pump and dump allegations. Now, I've pulled up a video here about KSI because I think this is quite an interesting one. Let me play this for you. Essentially, KSI is a influencer, and he has made many mistakes when it comes to cryptocurrency, and there are now allegations that he's been pump and dumping a specific cryptocurrency. But watch this video that we posted on Twitter a while back of what happened to him and his crypto investments.
Crazy yield, wherever you get, like every year you get like a percentage of like 10-15% on the money you just put in. And I was like, oh my god, yes. So I just put all my money in there. I put like 2-3 mil. Bro, it just tanked. You know the first Bitcoin crash? All my money just, I literally saw it just go to zero. Oh, Anchor, that's what it's called. I just saw it go to zero. Anchor? Yeah, bro. So I kind of over leveraged with it, and then I just got down. I was like, all right, cool. Try again. So I made my money back. I had close to I was shorting Bitcoin because I was like, yeah, this is going down. I know this is going down. I was shorting.
So you did make your money back?
Yeah, I made my money back. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it works.
Got my money back, and then guess what? Back into Luna.
Come on, bro.
And then went back down again. Man, this shit, bro. I'm out.
I hope you could hear that okay. I don't know how that went. I will test that after. I did test it before the stream and it looked like it was going to go okay. But essentially, KSI doesn't have a brilliant kind of history in the cryptocurrency space. And he's been very open about that, to be honest. So we can't really complain too much. But what we've seen here is we've seen a load of allegations over the weekend that KSI has pump and dumped a token, Xcad, and now the founder has actually had to step in to explain what's happened here, because essentially KSI returned to his crypto dedicated Twitter account by posting for the first time since November 2022 about Xcad. Now, we are actually seeing the On-Chain Detective suggests that KSI pumped and dumped this token. First of all, he tweeted about Xcad, and then we could see on-chain that he'd chosen to sell some of his assets. Now, CoffeeZilla has been right involved in this, like he normally is, and has made some video allegations about KSI and his decisions with Xcad. And now the founder, Oliver Bell, has stepped in and said, essentially, KSI can do what he wants with these funds. He's bought Xcad, he's sold Xcad, he does this pretty frequently, and he still holds a huge amount of Xcad. So if he's chosen to take some profits on the way up, he is perfectly well entitled to do so. And I think this is perfectly fine enough. I mean, there's no threshold to decide when you can no longer take profits because you've got too many followers. It's a really sticky situation to kind of create a decision for. In fact, the founder said he did sell some Xcad, which he rightfully can. He buys and sells Xcad often. In fact, he has bought a lot of more Xcad than sold. KSI told CoffeeZilla he still held Xcad, showing proof to the YouTube investigator. And the Xcad founder has said, KSI did not pump and dump Xcad. I see this going around for a few community members. Xcad is a real business with a real vision and product. KSI remains an active Xcad investor and believer in Xcad. He has other wallets, and as far as investors go, he has been one of our solid ones. So he's saying, look, don't all go in at KSI. He may have decided to sell the pump a little bit, but he's still a big investor. He's buying and selling constantly. Just because there's this one on-chain's big sell from him doesn't mean that he's fully out of this. We do actually have a product behind it that we are actually trying to push, and just because KSI has tweeted about this and chosen to take some profits doesn't mean the project is over. So I think this is a fair enough position to be in. I mean, the founders you can't complain that KSI has chosen to take some profits at the end of the day. We all like to take some profits. We all need to learn to take some profits. We should learn from KSI. And I think what he's done in the market so far shows that he needs to learn. He has needed to learn to take profits in the past. The fact he's taking some now is a good thing. We're seeing him make some improvements when it comes to his cryptocurrency decisions. Let's see what's going on here. Rob says lots of free advertising for Xcad, whatever the story. I agree. I was thinking this. Xcad have had a huge amount of exposure off the back of this news. Although it may not be too good for KSI, it's brought a huge amount of interest into Xcad. A lot of people are looking at this like, what is this project anyway? If he's not pumping and dumping it and he's actually holding this to the long term, it may make some people interested in the project. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the news though. So moving on from KSI now. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. What we've got here is Tau, VET, and STX lead as the rally continues. So Bitcoin has gone through the $52,000 level, and some altcoins are performing incredibly well here. We've got Immutable X up over 32%, BitTensor up over 32%, Stacks up over 46%, and this is all just within a week. Within a week, that's absolutely insane. VET is up over 60% as well, so we're seeing really nice movements here. Hopefully this continues. As I've been saying here on the channel, as soon as Bitcoin starts to see some sideways action as well, that's when the altcoins typically start to really perform well. So lots of bullish news coming in. We do need to be cautious. Obviously, there is potential for a pullback, but until we see a level of support break, we can only be confident in the Bitcoin price and expect the trend to continue. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the cryptocurrency news here. So Coinbase beats Q4 revenue target, sending coin towards $200. I mean, this is absolutely insane. I was taking a look at this morning. If we go to the coin price, I automatically type in USDT after everything I look at on TradingView. If you take a look at this, I mean, the after hours and the pre-market trading has absolutely pushed the price of coins to the upside in the last week. You can see huge gaps in the chart here because people have been buying and buying this asset. We are seeing a little bit of bearish momentum today, but overall it has been super bullish considering last Wednesday, about 12 days ago. 7th of February, from the 7th of February to now, we are up over 50%. To the high, we were up over 60%. So huge move to the upside there for coin because the revenue did beat the target. We did discuss this on last week's stream. When it comes to cryptocurrency related stocks, there's a huge amount of potential during bear markets because essentially when you're investing in crypto related stocks rather than Bitcoin, you are taking on more risk. If you think back to the bear market, Coinbase was under regulatory scrutiny. It wasn't the custodian for any of these ETFs, and the SEC were going in hard on cryptocurrency exchanges. A lot of people are looking at them and saying, look, there's a lot of risks here. But now the SEC have said Coinbase can be the custodian for the ETFs. They're creating a huge amount of revenue because Bitcoin's price is increasing and the amount of trades on the platform is increasing. And they are performing incredibly well, in fact, outperforming Bitcoin in some weeks. So cryptocurrency related stocks are a real interesting opportunity, especially in the bear market, and so are kind of mining companies and all of those kinds of things, because essentially when Bitcoin is low, you're taking on more risk for some of these cryptocurrency related stocks, but there is potential for extra rewards. So really interesting here. Coinbase has outperformed the expectations, and therefore we have seen a nice rally. Off the back of this, we have seen ARK Invest. Here we go. ARK Invest Cathie Woods has chosen to offload $90 million worth of the shares. Completely normal for Cathie Woods. I mean, they tend to do this every time there is a pump. They are not shy of taking profits in any scenario and buying the dip. They really know how to invest when it comes to this kind of stuff. They just seem to be selling every pump possible, buying every dump possible, and repeating that method over and over again. Really like their trading method. Maybe there's an opportunity there to kind of shadow what they're doing. And look, I want to take a closer look at what they're doing in future. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the crypto space though. We have another crypto company, MicroStrategy. Their Bitcoin holdings are now worth $10 billion. So Bitcoin's price has hit that close to that $53,000 level, and with that, their 190,000 Bitcoin has reached a $10 billion valuation. So they are $4 billion in profit after buying Bitcoin all the way up at the previous high to all the way down to the bear market low. They've been dollar cost averaging in continuously, and they have now reaped the rewards for that. They have not realized their profits. They are still holding all of their Bitcoin. I don't expect them to sell anytime soon. They are just continuing to dollar cost average in and get as much benefit from the market as possible. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the chat here. Rob C says, good afternoon, Jess. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, Rob C says, I like the new look. Let us know what you think of the new stream setup. I think we're getting good reviews on this so far. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We do these live streams every single weekday, and we have done since Bitcoin was down at $16,000. We want this to be the year that we hit 10,000 subscribers on the channel, so please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, and tune in every single day to educate yourself on the cryptocurrency space. Also, if you want to educate yourself further, make sure to go to cryptosavingexpert.com, and if you go to, let's zoom out a little bit here, if you go to the Join CSE Plus channel, you can get access to the CSE Plus Discord, where you can learn all about what's going on in the market, stay up to date with recent trends, stay up to date with what airdrops there are, and see what all of our major traders are doing in the channel as well. People are sharing their trades there and making a considerable amount of profit, so make sure to check that out if you haven't done so already. Let's take a look at what else is going on here in the news, because as we've said a couple of times in today's stream, Ethereum has started to outperform Bitcoin. We are seeing it start to see a bounce on that chart there, and we're seeing the expectations for Ethereum increase in the news as well. So we are seeing the potential for a spot Ethereum ETF as soon as May. We are seeing a 50% chance of ETF approval according to analysts, and with that expectation, we could see a real nice movement for Ethereum, eventually starting to actually outperform Bitcoin for the first time in a couple of months here. Ethereum has been outperformed by Bitcoin on the bigger time frame since back in September 22. It did slightly outperform Bitcoin post Bitcoin ETF approval, but that has seen a retracement here. But I do believe we are sort of at the lows on this chart here. I don't expect us to see much lower levels than this during this bull market. I think Ethereum has a huge amount of potential, especially if those Ethereum ETFs do go live. Let's see what's going on in the next piece of news here, though. So next article is FTX secretly used Dell Tech Bank to create and sell Tether for profit, according to the lawsuit. So they may have created billions of dollars in USDT in this manner. So essentially what they could do is create USDT on credit through the unofficial Dell Tech line of credit and sell that USDT for a gain before having to purchase by depositing US dollars in Tether's Dell Tech account. So they were essentially printing money, if this allegation is true. That is absolutely insane for this to have been able to happen behind closed doors and for nobody to notice this. And even worse than this, SBF's sentence may be lighter than initially expected. So discussions by Coinbase have led to a theory that SBF may not get as long as behind bars as what would be expected. There's the whole reasoning for this here. I am going to drop the link to this in today's chat because I'm not sure how interested we all are in SBF at this point in time. It's been going on for a while, but it's still important to take a look at this. So if you are interested, head over to that link that I've dropped in the live chat at cryptosavingexpert.com. Let's see what else is going on in the cryptocurrency news here. So we've got an article here from Crypto Slate, and they are talking about how the US threatens crypto's core values. So emerging US regulations threaten the essence of Bitcoin, challenging the autonomy and innovation that define the cryptocurrency industry. As investors lick their moistened chops, let's take a look at this. This is quite a funny way of writing an article for Crypto Slate. For the Bitcoin ETFs, just have to have their Bitcoin ironically held by Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Senator Elizabeth Warren's war on custody rages on. The US Bitcoin industry is looking down the barrel of a radically new paradigm, and the new paradigm which might not be all that good for the industry after all. I'm not very quick at this today. Let's see what's going on. Essentially, we are seeing these Bitcoin ETFs, and the ETFs mean that we do not have custody over our Bitcoin. Instead, we are putting that custody, we are putting our Bitcoin in the hands of BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. We're creating a middleman for Bitcoin, and that's really not why we all came for Bitcoin. We came to Bitcoin to be our own bank, to have self-custody, and to be in control of our own funds. But now we are all going, oh, amazing, Bitcoin ETFs. Why would we not want these products where we can hand all of this Bitcoin back over to the banks, back over to these massive institutions in the US? I mean, it is a bit of a double-edged sword when it comes to these Bitcoin ETFs because we're seeing a huge amount of bullish momentum in the price, but we are handing over this. I mean, we're seeing these institutions buying Bitcoin hand over foot. I mean, continuously seeing a huge amount of inflows every single day. Did we want them to be holding this much Bitcoin? Probably not, but I think it was coming sooner or later. The fact that it's happened now is something we're going to have to accept. We couldn't expect to see a huge mass adoption without this kind of foot forwards for cryptocurrency. We would not have seen this many inflows for crypto had we not seen these ETFs go live. We would have not seen this many institutions and retail investors in the space at this point in time had these ETFs not gone live. So overall, they are bullish for the Bitcoin price, and I believe that will continue in the long term. But yeah, it's not an ideal scenario, but I think it is something that needed to happen, and the fact that it's happened now, and it was pretty nice timing for crypto, I think. But let's continue on to the next article here and see what's going on. I think a lot of you that are on cryptocurrency Twitter will have seen the Sora launch. This is a project from OpenAI that allows us to make AI videos. They are in amazing detail, the videos that are being created there. They are looking incredibly good. It's insane what this AI can do now. It's just progressing at a very fast pace. None of us know what's going to come next with this. The videos have been posted all over Twitter. It looks really, really good. Kind of like Adobe Firefly, where you can make images, but these are extremely detailed videos that are being created with the use of AI now. Text to video is really stepping up, so really interesting there. And we are, as a result of this, seeing the OpenAI valuation cross $80 billion, so huge gains there. Let's see what else is going on here. Forgery, plagiarism, and ninja costumes the bizarre battle over Bitcoin's origins. So in the first 2 weeks of the trial, Craig Wright has contradicted his testimony from previous previous trials and called expert witnesses incompetent. So if you are interested in the Craig Wright problems, I will put the link to that in today's chat. We're on a very long stream today. How long have we been on stream today? Where's YouTube? I've lost all my tabs on today's stream. Here we go. Do we have YouTube up? No, we don't. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We are 50 minutes into today's stream, so let's continue on to the next article here and see what else is going on. What we've got here is the UK FCA issued 450 alerts last year for non-compliance, and we've seen MicroStrategy en route for S&P 500 listing. A really interesting article is definitely worth the read. I'm going to drop the link to this in today's, no, that's not what I wanted to do, in today's live chat. So let's pull that up there. There we go. So essentially, MicroStrategy is steadily approaching eligibility for inclusion in the S&P 500 index, a milestone that could result in Bitcoin becoming prevalent in almost every investment portfolio. Very interesting opportunity here. So how to get included. The S&P is an index fund that tracks the 500 largest companies listed in US stock exchanges. Participation in the index necessitates prospective applicants to meet various eligibility requirements, which are as follows. So we're looking at the market cap, financial viability, liquidity, corporate governance, US incorporation, and public exposure. According to current requirements, eligible firms must have a market cap of $15.8 billion. MicroStrategy's market cap is $12.1 billion. Meaning its stock price of $718 would need to increase to $937. Despite this, MicroStrategy has reported a positive aggregate profit over the last 4 quarters, including the most recent one. The stock also has an average daily trade volume of over $1 million. So looking to meet those eligibility criterias, and with this we could see a huge amount of investors having exposure to the Bitcoin price without even knowing it. If MicroStrategy achieve an S&P 500 listing, it could trigger a positive feedback loop of Bitcoin exposure in almost every investor portfolio. Investing in the S&P 500 is extremely common. I mean, it's a brilliant way to get exposure to the American markets without really having to do a huge amount of research on individual companies. You're exposing yourself to the American markets as a whole when you're investing into the S&P 500 because it's a collection of the top 500 companies rather than doing specific research on individual companies and trying to create your own portfolio. It's a very simple way to get exposure to the markets. So Bitcoin being a part of that portfolio would be brilliant to see. Let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin before we close off today's stream, though, because I do need to get off today's stream very shortly. But what we're seeing here is Bitcoin is pumping again. I mean, we shouldn't even expect any less at this point. We're at $52,400 here. Nice uptrend on the 15-minute chart. If we go to the half-hour chart, you can see we are just moving to the upside. We could even draw a level of support across here. If we can see one clearly, I would actually go from the levels, the wicks here, and then pull this up here. So we can see we are just in an uptrend. I mean, we can't even complain. Bitcoin's just doing exactly what we wanted it to do. Let's see if we can get this level of resistance here as well. So I'd probably be looking at this point here. It's in an uptrend. We're seeing higher highs, higher lows on the 30-minute chart, on the hourly chart. Let's delete all of these lines. We are headed up to retest some previous levels of resistance from that shorter kind of time frame. We're looking at the $52,470 level and the $52,820 level. If we continue to tear through these levels of resistance and use them as levels of support, we have no reason but to feel bullish. So fingers crossed this continues, and fingers crossed it's another really green week when it comes to crypto. I hope you're all enjoying these profits and reaping the rewards. But that's all we've got for today's stream. So thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I hope you have enjoyed. We will be back here tomorrow with another cryptocurrency news update. So make sure to hit like, subscribe, press that bell notification button so you get notified when we do go live.